Whew, it is warm outside. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Collector's Vault. My name is Mike, and excuse me for wearing the tank top. We're experiencing a bit of a heat wave today, and I had to cool off somehow. And it's kind of appropriate talking about this heat wave because we're going to be talking about Firefist today. This is just a little quick talk, basically just saying that Firefist are getting pretty hyped up right now. I know a lot of the Firefist cards are getting bought out, they're getting very expensive. I know Ultimate Rare Firefist Bear, they're like up to over $35 I think now. Some of the other cards like Rooster are being speculated for being bought out. The point is that it all depends on these new Firefist cards that are coming out that we don't really know much about. There's some rumors going around about there being like a draw power card. One's going to be a counter trap that can negate anything. Basically, you can be very hopeful that the deck's going to be really powerful. But I do want to talk about right now that if you want to play Firefist, it's just not a good time. I've tried playing Firefist. I tried finding ways to make them good, incorporating other engines, and we're gonna go into a little bit more detail, just showing that as awesome as Firefists are, we just have to be very patient. Just wait for the new support, wait for the new set, and then we'll go from there. Because right now, if you're trying to make the 4-axis, the 3-axis Firefist deck work, I just don't believe it's worth it. So let's go take a look at these cards right now and see why Firefists are just not the best option right now, and we need to wait until Fists of the Gadgets. Alright guys, we're back. So this is just going to be me explaining kind of like what Firefist is capable of doing right now, and just why it's unfortunately not good enough. It's not good enough against the meta. I've tried making the decks work. I've tried trying to abuse what the deck can do. Like even like back when we had full power 3-axis Firefist, the +1 Firefist, which is kind of like just like rank 4 spam, which is not as easy right now with links. And I try to see, like, you know, even if you were to kind of combine this like with hand traps, and let's say like now we have Judgment at 3. Like let's say you were to kind of like abuse some of these power plays of Firefist, and then back it up with some of the modern day like the staples, if it's good enough. And I've come to the conclusion that it's just not good enough. I even tried incorporating some of the Salamangreat cards in here because they're all fire monsters, and their restrictions don't really like affect each other. But I'll explain in a little bit. So just to start off, right now, I don't think the +1 Firefist, which kind of just like abuses the level 4s, is good enough. As powerful as these cards are, and as cool as Wolfbark being like a once per turn get like a free rank 4 or a free link, that's all well and good. But I just don't think like there's better control decks out there basically. So I was trying to focus mainly on the 3-axis Firefist, or even like 3.5, like 3.5 axis, which kind of like utilizes a few of the level 4s, because you do still want to use cards like Bear and Gorilla to get some, you know, just to level the playing field. So I tried to see, you know, what is like the best field that this deck used to be able to do. But now, if you all remember, Spirit went to 1 immediately after Rooster came out. So that kind of made the deck, it was supposed to be tier 0, like that, something that would compete with the Dragon Rulers. And this card was hit to 1, and the consistency was hurt so much that this deck just kind of flopped. It was still really good and it was still powerful, but like it just wasn't as powerful as it once was. So I tried to think about it, and I tried to say that, well, let's try to make the best field using this combo. So most likely, the combo starts off with just these 2 cards, where you could normal summon out something like this and tribute it off to get something like a Tensu, and then you normal summon this. I mean, this is all pretty standard for anybody who knows the Firefist deck. Bring this back, and this gives you access to your extra deck, mainly going into Horse Prince, which is really good because then he can then summon out Rooster and trigger its effect to then add you. Well, back in the old days, this is why it was tier 0 at the time, because then you can just add another copy of Spirit and do it all over again, because there were no links, there were no extra monster zones, so you can summon as many Horse Princes as you want. Or, well, you know, only one of them once per turn, but the next turn you can just do this all over again. Summon another Horse Prince, get another Rooster. It was pretty aggressive. So since we're gonna assume that this is, you know, we're gonna go with, like, you know, the current state of the format. There are zones. There's link. You know, you require link monsters to really spam out the extra deck. Now let's just say you were to do this combo, get a Horse Prince, get a Rooster, and let's say you add a copy of this. And then you can use Rooster to basically recycle this for something like a Tanky, and then you can use Tanky to add like a Bear, or you can even use it to set like a trap card. And this is kind of the main problem with the deck, because your trap cards, you have Tensen and you have Tenken. And Tenken's kind of neat because Tenken can, like, you know, protect one Beast Warrior from card effects during like one phase. And then that's when I came to the conclusion that, like, if you were to kind of like incorporate this combo where those 2 cards basically give you this in your hand, this field, another search, and then basically 3 other cards in your hand. They could be a hand trap, they could be like the Salamangreat. It's just, but I realized this is just not good enough against the current decks right now. This is going to get run over. There's no protection unless you have unless all 3 cards in your hand are hand traps or counter trap cards or just trap cards that can protect you or interact on the opponent's turn, which Fire Fists do not do, and that's kind of one of our main issues. You're not going to be able to beat Thunder Dragons. You're not going to beat any of those Orcus decks. You're not going to be Sky Strikers. You're not even going to be Salamangreats. Right now, they're just the better fire deck because they not only are consistent and they can add back their combo enabler, which is Gazelle. I think I have a copy on me right here. Yeah, this is the same version as this. This is your combo enabler for the Fire Fist, like mainly the 3-axis deck. This is the combo enabler for Salamangreat, obviously. I know it's at 1, but the point is they recycle this back and they can do their combo all over again. And their monsters, their field will then be protected from link because the balance in the graveyard protects everything. So they have protection that way. This guy, their link monster, Sunlight Wolf. Again, I had a copy somewhere, but now I can't find them. Oh, here he is. Their Sunlight Wolf is a card that adds back 2 cards every single turn, technically, and that includes counter trap cards or trap cards that can destroy cards in the field. These are just much more oppressive cards than what Fire Fist has access to right now. This is much more oppressive than the cards that Fire Fist have access to right now. And then I try to think, okay, well then this is the best board you can do, even though this used to be like what the deck was all about. This used to be tier 0 in theory back in the day, and it's not good enough now. I try to think, well, how can you improve it? And I try and think, and the first step would be to incorporate Salamangreat cards. As I mentioned, their restrictions don't really hinder each other. The Salamangreat cards usually, I think their main restriction is a card like Magistelio, which says you can only use fire monster effects for the rest of the turn, and that's not an issue with these guys. And Fiver's only real restriction is that when you use a card like Spirit, is that she can only make Beast Warrior synchros, and then for the rest of the turn, after you use your effect, you can only attack with Beast Warriors. So we're assuming like turn 1, that is obviously a restriction. It's not a big deal. The rule, like icing on top of the cake, is that I realized if you were to try to incorporate this engine into your deck, you could actually summon out Horse Prince and then use it to summon out Gazelle. And I was actually like kind of like mind blown when I realized that, because I'm thinking like, well then that's the answer. That's like the key that brings all this together. Horse Prince summons Gazelle, boom, you're good to go. And then of course in testing I realized that it's not that simple. Because even if you were to incorporate this to kind of like use Gazelle, send Spinny to the graveyard, and you can bring back Spinny, you're basically at a point where you're kind of stuck in like you can't really do your Salamangreat combos because this card's stuck in this card is basically stuck in your extra monster zone. So you went through the effort of having like your 2 cards, of using your 3-axis Fire Fist combo enablers, like 2 cards to get out 1 card that can then give you this card. Technically this isn't 1, so this is kind of like a way to tutor it out of the deck, but I just don't think it's worth it because at this point you then have to kind of get rid of these guys to go into your Salamangreat Link monsters. So right here you would need another enabler to go into your Magistelio and start, comboing off using your Sunlight Wolf to then add back Gazelle, which is just you're still kind of stuck because then you don't have a counter trap to search. This is you relying on drawing it. It basically you need more combo enablers to extend here, and that's kind of where I had to stop myself and think maybe there's another route. Maybe you can use your 3-axis Fire Fist cards to then not go into the Horse Prince immediately. Then maybe you can use that to go into a Sunlight Wolf, and then maybe you can abuse a card like Rekindling, which is now a 3. So that way you can basically summon these guys back. And this can actually give you access to Horse Prince or Magistelio. It'll trigger this guy's effect. And in the end, I just realized this is still not good enough. Even when I was trying to test it out and try to make the best board possible, this field was just not strong enough. Because like basically, you're gonna have a field. You'll basically end up with a field like this, where you have this card face down. These are probably turned into a Horse Prince or a Magistelio. And this is only assuming that the very best case scenario, you have this, you might have like a tanky or something on the field, and you might have a couple of hand traps. But the thing is, this is just way less consistent than just playing pure Salad. The pure Salamangreat deck, although it is definitely, it lost consistency with the last ban list. If you're trying to incorporate the Fire Fist into this, I realize it's just not good enough. You're just playing a worse Salamangreat deck and a worse Fire Fist deck. And That's saying a lot, because I'm already saying how, right now, how lackluster Fifers are. So this is just not going to work. Basically, the point of this video was to show that even when I'm trying to really, I'm trying to make the deck as good as possible, it turns out that until we get the Eagle Sage, he's going to allow us to really abuse the 3-axis combo, where you get out a Horse Prince, get out the Rooster, search whatever you want. If you want to get another copy of Spirit, that's great. And then you simply just link summon into your Eagle Sage. And then that allows you to abuse cards like, it allows you to abuse cards like Buffalo. I mean, and this is obviously, I'm trying to discuss this to people who obviously are aware of what Eagle Sage does. If you don't know, Eagle Sage is basically just a card that lets you recycle your Fire Formations from the field or graveyard back to your hand, and then you can send a Fire to the graveyard, from your deck to the graveyard. And Buffalo is incredible because Eagle also allows you to use your Fire monsters, and you don't have to pay the cost of sending the Fire Formations to the graveyard. So that means this guy, who has an effect to summon himself from the graveyard, it's activated for free. As long as you have Eagle, this guy can come back from the graveyard once per turn, and that's actually really cool because then it's another extender. So if you can actually, and then also, here's a tech card that I think will be better with Eagle Sage, because if you can play a Red Resonator with one of your level 4 Fibrous monsters, this allows you to go immediately into Horse Prince, and then Horse Prince can get out the as a visual. Then that normal summon, special summon, that's basically 2 cards without you using your Spirit or your Leopard. It gives you Horse Prince. It immediately gives you access to Rooster, which gives you a free search, and this gives you your Eagle Sage, and then you can keep comboing off. And I believe that is the future of Fire Fist. I mean, this is pretty obvious for people who have been trying to come up with some of the future combos. I've seen combos that abuse, it basically abuses Buffalo, it abuses Bear, believe it or not, and it abuses cards like Dragon, because Dragon has a Monster Reborn effect. And if you go into your Tiger Kings, I have him somewhere. If you go into your Tiger King, and you still have your Eagle Sage, remember, so basically all of your Fire effects are free. Bear can once per turn just pop any monster for free. And if you destroy your own Tiger King, his effect says you can send 3 Fire Formation cards to the graveyard, which you don't have to do, to summon 2 Fire monsters from or 2 Beast Warriors from your deck. And then that allows you to bring out multiple copies of Dragon over and over again. He can then reborn a Tiger King, maybe reborn another Bear, and then that gives you more materials to link line. Bear can then once again a new Bear can pop the new Tiger King and give you even more materials. It's basically the future of Fire Fists. And I kind of just want to wrap up this video by saying that we just have to be patient, because right now these are all this is all speculation on the new combos. We still don't know what the new Fire Formation cards are going to do. There's a rumor going around that there's a spell that lets you discard a Beast Warrior, draw 2 cards. That's actually incredible for the 3-axis version, because instead of you having to rely, excuse me. Oh, I lost the cards. Oh, here they are. Instead of you having to rely on wasting your normal summon on a Leopard and then getting out like a Tensu, just so that way you can use Spirit to go into your level 3 combo. If you can actually get one of these cards in the graveyard initially, which would be really cool, because if you discard this, draw 2 cards, and then you can play your Spirit to go into your combo. That allows you to not need an additional normal summon or extender. And then your additional summon with Tensu is in live for next turn for future plays. There's a lot of possibilities. The other issue I had was that because if you are using your Rooster, which also, by the way, because of Eagle's effect, will once per turn just gives you a free Fire Formation card. That's actually really good. But right now, Rooster can only really recycle you into additional Tankies, additional Tensus, which is not really useful. So you basically get additional Tankies, which is pretty nice, and you can search a couple of the trap cards, which are just attack boosters. And again, the 1 card Tenkan just gives 1 Beast Warrior protection for a 1 phase. It's just not going to cut it. So the one other rumor is that we're getting a counter trap card, which will be searchable by Rooster and Leopard technically, which is kind of nice. And the counter trap can negate anything. Again, if these cards are real, then this is exactly what this is what the deck needs. This will be the future of Fire Fist. But as of right now, we just have to be patient and wait, because right now, as I've showed you, the fields that Fire Fist can make are just not good enough. Even if you try to incorporate Salamangreats, you're better off just playing a pure Salamangreat deck, because this deck can just make better turn 1 boards all on its own, and like ignoring consistency. So hope this was I hope this information was helpful. Again, not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to be practical here that right now, as much as we want Fire Fist to be good, we just have to wait, be very patient, and see what the new cards are going to do, because we're also getting a new Ritual Monster. God knows what that's going to be able to do for us. And I think we're most likely going to get more effect monsters. We might get some new boss monsters along with Eagle Stage. We'll just have to wait and see. So until then, guys, keep having fun with the deck. But until we know what the new cards do, then we'll be able to start brainstorming. All right, so take it easy, guys.